Hello there. It's Lady Lou, the baby boomer babe. And we have a wonderful thing to offer today, and it's an interview with Helen Racz. This is a delightful lady. We've just met her recently and had her on our show, the no, it was on Wisdom Chat for the Curious show. And we had such a good time. And now this is a way for her to get the information out about her new books. This lady can write. I love her books. This is my favorite, of course, The Logical Law of Attraction. I never thought about it being logical, but this is good stuff. You got to have this book. And anyway, I wanted to explain in just a quick second about why there's a camera in the back there on Helen's her screen. We could not get Facebook to work. You know how technology can be some days. So she's live streaming it on her phone. So anyway, all done with that. So I want to introduce my co-host, Marian LaSalle. Say hello, Marian.
Hello, good day to all you. This is a wonderful opportunity to meet Helen and learn all about her. Actually, I met Helen many years ago in Houston. It wasn't Body, Mind, and Soul. It was another group. It was like it was a bunch of buildings off of Westheimer, and you were giving classes there. Do you remember?
The weekly tapping and different classes. Yes, it was Spectrum Center.
Spectrum Center. That's it. That's
yes.
it.
Oh,
that's
wow.
where I met you, because I knew I'd met you somewhere before. That's where it was.
Oh gosh. Well, Helen, we are just so delighted to have you here today and to talk about your wonderful books. We love doing this so that you have this available for your friends and your followers and all of the people who take classes from you, because you have a ton of videos on your YouTube channel. I am impressed very mightily.
How do you like those from 10, 12 years ago, the camera quality?
Well, I was only sticking with the newer ones, so I didn't go back that far. But you know what? Technology improves, so we know that sometimes it's just going to be a little fuzzy or whatever, but we can correct a lot of that stuff. So bear with us if you're on Facebook and it's a little blurry. We'll replace it later when we get the regular video up. So Helen, let's start with you. And why did you write the Logical Law of Attraction book?
Okay, so first of all, I didn't write it. I wrote all the postscripts to the chapters, but Cindy Childress, let me see if I can zoom in there. I hired her as a ghostwriter.
I see.
So I had a student and she said, look, Helen, I keep calling you. I know I'm asking the same question. I know we all ask it in class a gazillion times. You just need to write the book so we can look it up ourselves. And I, kind of sarcastically just said, I just need a ghostwriter. And she sent me an email introduction. So I said yes. And I contacted Cindy and I said, what exactly is a ghostwriter? What do you do? How does that work? And Cindy's amazing. So we plugged through this book. I said, before you start, please look at these videos and tell me if we're a fit. And she did. And she said, oh, yeah, we could get this book done in like 3 months. Well, it took us a year.
Oh.
Let me tell you why. Because this book is actually a huge consciousness shift. It's Cindy and I really slugged through it, evolving the consciousness as we went so that it's easier for the reader. And Cindy has such a high level of integrity. And I mean, she followed through. She could have dumped me numerous times. She did not. I tell you, check her out if you have a book wanting to birth through you. She offers all kinds of different services. I needed a writer. I am not a writer. I am a teacher, right? And so she took so much of my teachings. I mean, I can't tell you how much got cut, from video, cut from interviews, cut from writing, to put it together in the way that the reader could have an experience and engage with these mind-changing, consciousness-evolving thoughts. Cindy is a gem. So what happened is she sent me the first proof. Now, this is after many months of interviews, video, talking, clarifying, sent me the first proof, and it didn't have principle-based thought in it. And I thought, oh, it must be me. So I looked at all our interviews that she had kept copies of, and I was like, no, it's not me. This is consciousness. And I said, Cindy, I love your writing in the foreword. Let's go back and do it differently, where you share your experience learning this material. And God bless her. She shares with such vulnerability and openness. We have created together the most unusual book. It gives you the teacher's teachings and the student's interpretation and struggle to land it. Is that not beautiful?
Oh,
That is so beautiful. I'm so glad you bring that up, because don't we all interpret depending on our background, our filters, all the different things that have happened in our lives and the way we look at the world? So you can give the same information to 10 people and you got 10 different versions of what you said.
And Cindy even writes in the book, she goes, I've written successful books for 2 neuroscientists. How hard could this be? Right. So her humor is incredible. It's a fun read, the way she's laid it out. So she took what I teach to some degree. Of course, you can always go deeper, right? And she put it in an easy to read format. I mean, it's priceless. And right now I do have another friend helping me work on the workbook for it. There is a Logical Law of Attraction Spiritual Planner in process of making that available. That one's been tested. Myself, many students, many friends. And so now it's just the process of birthing it in a format other people can get it. Wow. And then somewhere in this journey of writing Logical Law of Attraction, I was working with somebody and they said, no, you need to make this information available to a larger audience. So tell me where your stuck was birthed.
That resonates with me. Because if you get stuck, you need help.
It's for the non-readers. There's pictures, a lot of white space. It's very small. And it just, you know, as a teacher, my soul is only happy when I'm sharing information that makes the journey easier and faster for others.
I love it.
So there's many different levels of delivery so that other people can have the best experience of themselves.
You know, that's a big step for a teacher to be able to offer it in the way that the audience needs to hear it or see it or experience it. For myself, it's got to be video or audio. Books are fine, but my eyes tend to, make me sleepy when I'm reading. So I love the second book with the pictures and the open white space, because it gives my mind a way to breathe. I think I'm not really clear on exactly why, but I'm one of those types of people that I'd rather you talk to me. I'd rather you show me in a video. It's just the way it is. But here's another thing, and I want to ask you, do you think you're going to be able to offer this in an audio version?
Yes, that is in the works. COVID-19 kind of glitched that one. It's I already have it set up, already paid the deposit. Sky Dancer audiobooks in Colorado. Love Brett and his wife. And I had tickets to fly out and record in his studio, and Denver closed down. This was in April, right? Right. So I've already paid the deposit. He already has the book. We are going to do it. It'll have 3 voices. It'll have the narrator. That'll be Brett. His wife is doing Cindy's voice, and I'll do my own voice.
Fantastic.
And so it's definitely in the works. Again, also doing the workbook. And then I will be figuring out how to put an online program. I'm going to pay for that with Experientify to learn and put up an online program. I have regular students every week. I've had them since, different ones, since 2010, and a few of the same. Because humans, we always learn the same way. It's that consistency. It's that IV drip of information. We take so much repetition to change our consciousness, to learn a new way of experiencing ourselves. So yes, Marian, I am going to learn. How do I offer it? I'm learning about Instagram. I'm going to start putting short clips. My brother read my Tell Me Where You're Stuck, and he said, are there videos to go with it? I'm like, well, that's next.
You're like, okay, I'm making a checklist here. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, Helen, I have a question, and this is a true question that I just thought of. How did you get into the law of attraction, and how did you get into the tapping? How do the two mesh?
I was
Oh,
wondering the same thing, Lady Lou. Thank you for
yeah.
asking that.
Thank you, Lady Lou. So I have always had the entrepreneur heart, and I've had many businesses. I've worked for myself for over 26 years. And then I had a women's gym, and while I had the gym, Fitness Zone, that's when I learned EFT. It popped up on a browser. I started playing with it. I started working with members in the gym, and then strangers would show up. And I would just tap with anybody. Thought they were going to join the gym. They didn't. They'd come get a tap and go. So I started teaching at Leisure Learning Unlimited, the adult education in Houston. Since has closed, but it was here for a long time.
I know. I loved it.
Me too. And then many people said, hey, can you make this more affordable? So through Spectrum Center on Westheimer, Marion, where you went, Rosa Glenn Riley, such a beautiful mentor to me. She helped me set up a weekly tapping public event. And I told everybody, as long as room rental is covered through donation, I'll show up. And I never took a dollar from that. All the money went to room rental or advertising. And it was a public event. I never knew how many, who would show up. And it went for over 8.5 years.
Wow.
In that time, I was also teaching spiritual classes, life coaching classes. And what happened is all that tapping, I started realizing the taps that come through, something way smarter than me, way non-judgmental, loving, funny energy. And so I was like, wow, well, could I channel without the busy tap, 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 tapping? And in classes, I would often teach things and somebody would say, can you repeat that? And I'd be like, I can't. I'll have to look at the audio and type it out. And so I knew that I was doing the right personal work and prayer to allow wisdom to flow through me, which is what all teachers want, right? And so then, long story, try to shorten it for you. A lot of my clients would come to me and they would have the passion, the heart to do their work and work for themselves and contribute to our world strongly and powerfully. And yet they were still stuck in loops of trauma.
Oh.
So at some point I'd be like, listen, you got this. You just need to learn how to think. Now, Covey put it together, Stephen Covey, put it together in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I have a whole history on that, which you can read about later. And I had a few clients come to me and say, look, I tried the book, I tried the audio, I don't get it. Can you teach it? So I said, okay, I'll teach 1 habit, there's 7, a week for 7 weeks. But I won't teach what Covey wrote because his work is a standalone. It's fabulous. I always recommend people read his book once a year for 5 years in a row. So I started.
There you go.
Here's how the principle-based laws, these spiritual laws, apply to all the spirituality you're studying. And at the end of 7 weeks, my students said, can you teach it again and go slower?
Oh. Oh.
In that moment, I realized it was like an epiphany, right? I realized, oh my gosh, all those years I bitched and moaned and complained and whined that where's the manual for life? It's actually knowing how to think. And I've been teaching it ever since. So in 2018, I started a whole series with my students. There's 3 different classes a week that I teach, and it was all on logical law of attraction. And then, as I told you before, I got introduced to Cindy through email, and I was like, no, I do know what the gift is and what to present to people. There you go.
Oh, beautiful. So you were talking about channeling earlier. Give a brief overview of what channeling is.
So channeling, and it sounds all, woo-woo and mystical, and I felt that way too, by the way. And yet, doctors, a surgeon who's in a really complicated surgery, he might channel intuitive knowing or wisdom in a moment that it's needed. A mother with a child, a pet owner, suddenly looks up and says, oh, I need to leash my animal, or, redirect their thought. Driving. One day you'd suddenly get an urge to turn a different way and go a different route, and you don't know what you've avoided, right? So channeling is about getting the earth personality a little bit out of the way so that something bigger and wiser and more eternal than earth personality can come through. So I noticed in my taps that was happening all the time. Then I noticed it was happening in sessions. And then I thought, well, can I do it without tapping? So you could see Emissarians.com. My videographer, Alan Anderson, has loaded all our public channelings. And so that's the same information, the same stream of intelligence. Again, smarter than me, more consistent than me, more loving than me in earth form and personality. Teaching, or you can access the taps. I have an audio library being updated right now on helenracz.com. And you can hear it's very, very directional, educational. It invites you to expand your concept of life and having a good experience and how to show up. So channeling is just bigger, broader knowledge than the earth personality can convey.
And you call them the Emissarians.
Which emissary means messenger.
Ah, that's beautiful. And any of us can do it, right?
Yes, anybody can, and anybody can tap the way I tap, and anybody can paint the way I paint, and anybody can play piano like my son, if their soul prompts them enough to put in all the hours of practice that it takes to become fluent.
Darn. So when we're talking about tapping, can you just show us the different points real briefly? Because some people might not know what exactly tapping is and why we do it.
Which is interesting. Tapping, you can just Google EFT. It was created in 1990. It's all over the world in more than 40 languages. And it's based on using endpoints and major meridians in the body. It's not body tap. That's a whole different protocol. And there they are, lightning fast. And yet you can Google it and find endless information about EFT. So for me, that was the opening into allowing my soul self, my higher self, my connection to something bigger than me flow through to support other people.
I love it. So, and EFT stands for Emotional Freedom
Technique by Gary Craig.
And he's been around for many, many years. I have, I guess, his original manual that he allowed people to download. Does he still do that?
Yes, it's still free. And if anybody is seeking, if you're like me, a self-studier, student, you can work well alone, and also from teachers, his manual, The Peace Procedure, it's still on his website. It's amazing. It tells you how to utilize EFT in a consistent manner so you make a lot of progress. Wow. I started tapping in my 40s. I tapped excessively with his DVDs. There wasn't live streaming then. And my eyesight improved in both my eyes in my 40s. No more astigmatism. I quit grinding my teeth, and I was a lot happier. So then I was hooked.
I would be too. I was going to ask you, who is the type of person or group that you feel most comfortable working with and they feel that way about you?
Anybody seeking to have a better experience of themselves and that are in the stage of personal growth where they take full responsibility, right? So anybody just saying, give me the information and I'll apply it. That's my ideal client. And when I first started with tapping, I was in a lower vibration. Lower and higher doesn't mean better and worse. It's all a journey, right? I was still in massive emotional healing. I was a red hot mess, hypersensitive, codependent to the core, and tapping cleared so much energy for me that it allowed me to live the life I'm leading today. So originally I attracted people who were suffering. And now I've evolved more into, I do tap when people ask me in private session. I do teach still. But really my calling today is teaching people who are already successful in many ways how to expand their capacity for success by knowing how to think.
By knowing how to what?
Think.
Think. Oh,
That's important, because that's where it all starts, is our thinking. It's, they call it stinking thinking for a reason, right?
And if you are not thinking, if you're brain dead, you no longer have an experience on this dimension. So doesn't it make sense that you would want to understand the formula, the foundation, the logic of how you think for every success you have, and then take it and apply it to your weak spots and your wonkiness?
I love that wonkiness. That's
Right.
awesome. You said that you had used, what's that?
I said I'm very experienced in wonkiness.
Oh, there you go. Well, it takes one to know one, right? So I understand you've written 3 different books, and I'd like to show people here. These are what they actually look like. You can get them on Amazon. The Logical Law of Attraction, Tell Me Where You're Stuck. And this last book, tell us a little bit more about that.
So my amazing videographer, Alan Anderson, and he records all my channeling sessions. Well, not in class, but formal channeling. And then he will listen and pull out snippets. And he sends me a whole list of snippets. And then I write Helen's perspective. And then I put a question. Well, after one, and this is like a newsletter you can get every week, email. And after a year of that, the E's came through in meditation one day, and they said 3 books, Amazon, March. And I'm like, well, okay, I've got Tell Me Where You're Stuck. I don't control Logical Law, because Balboa is the publisher on that, and Cindy was writing it, and there's editors, there's all kinds of other people involved. And I said, well, what could be the 3rd book? And I said, well, I'll take all the newsletters and put them in a journal, so that people could, instead of just coming to channeling, they could sit and write and get into that altered space of a higher frequency. And so that's what it is. It's an interactive journal. And you read, and then you write.
Love that.
And then you write. That. And when you engage with it, you will feel yourself. Well, Marion, like you said, your eyes get tired. You will get very high on the energy, and you'll start channeling your own wisdom through working with the support of the Emissarians.
I want that.
Right?
I think anyone out there watching is going to say, well, is this for me? And I'm going to tell you, yes, make a path to Amazon, get those books.
Right. And, if you're not sure, there's plenty of video, and there's the newsletter from the Emissarians, the weekly email. There's other ways to dabble. The interesting thing is dabbling leads to more dabbling till you commit to consistency and stamina. Right. And yet I highly recommend, this way of being works for me and for my clients and my students. I'm very task-oriented, results-oriented, right? And then depending on where you are in your journey, it may not be a fit now. That's fine. Knowing about it, and I thank both of you for bringing this out to a larger audience, knowing about it, it may fit later, right? We're not all here for the same awakening. And so those of you who it will be of service to, you'll know. It'll keep running across you through different mediums, or it'll niggle your mind until you show up and engage.
Oh, I like that.
I do. And let's talk a little bit more about you said it twice now, and I heard it, and it really resonated with me. Consistency. Okay. So just like exercise or diet or, study habits or your work habits, your family, if you're willy-nilly, well, today I'll do it and tomorrow I won't, or, I'll take my pill today, or maybe tomorrow I'll take it in the evening. That doesn't work. It doesn't work for us humans. We need to have this consistency. How do we get there? Helen, help us.
Knowing how to think. Everything on earth is created the exact same way. Everything that humans create: clarity, consistency, belief, and action. And so I've broken it down into 2 different ways. Tell me where you're stuck gives you 4 questions to work with. The what, why, how, and how I'll know is successful. So you align to clarity, which supports consistency. But if you haven't hit the level of clarity where you engage emotionally and you know what success will look like, chances are you won't follow through. Now, again, you're already doing this in every success you've hit, success by your definition, not anybody else's. But every success you've ever hit, this formula is there. Learning how to see it, recognize it, and then purposefully use it is what I teach. And then the logical law of attraction goes deeper and goes into a few more spiritual laws of why it is hard to be consistent. So I teach in the metaphysical community, if you really want something that you don't have, you would want to be consistently engaged with all the different aspects of you. And I teach there's the mental body, emotional body, spiritual body, energetic body, karmic body, egoic body, and physical body. Now, if you don't have all 7 of those on the same page, the going's kind of slow.
The go is slow, yes.
Well, Helen, I know you teach physical teachings back when we could, and you'll be doing that again as soon as this virus thing is over. Are you planning to do anything online for those who don't live in the Houston area?
Yes, I will be soon in about a month. I'm a student right now of a different teaching, Helena Bowen with her Speakeasy program. And then I'm going to sign up, pay to learn from Experientify. Marissa is the teacher there of a platform to make online teaching available to people in a way that encourages people to follow through. Like you can put up I have tons of freebies on my website, and yet people don't have that consistency, that follow through. So she's found a way with a platform how to gamify it to get people more engaged. And so the completion rate goes from like 3% to 60 or 70%.
Oh, that's great.
So I'll invest my time, energy, effort, and money to get that set up so that people can be blessed through it when they're ready to commit.
Helen, what I'm understanding is that everyone needs to connect with you somehow, like on a newsletter. Do they email you or go to your website?
Has the weekly newsletter. HelenRacz.com just got overhauled. The audio library for EFT is still being updated to be secure. And I haven't yet got back to that email. But I will. You can find me on Facebook, Logical Law of Attraction with Helen Racz, LLOA with Helen Racz. I offer 15-minute clips of teaching every week. Instagram is Racz Helen. Not sure why, but they wouldn't give me Helen Racz. And then again, I'm evolving too. You know, last year was all about getting the books completed. This year is all about how do I make it available for those that are seeking. And I bless and thank you 2 ladies for helping me. This is my first one to put it out there. So you guys are my angels, my heroes today.
Aw, did you hear that, Lady Lou?
We're happy to do it. And Helen, for our podcast audience, would you spell your name, the whole website name, please?
Yes, it's pronounced race, like a race car, but it's spelled a little different. It's Helen with 1 L, HELEN, RAC as in cat, Z as in zebra.com. Helen Racz, HelenRacz.com.
Perfect. Thank you. And for most part, they can find everything, and there's a contact page, I'm sure. So
yes, I'm pretty easy to find. I've been doing
beautiful.
video. I will just tell you, my first YouTube video, I was shocked that people who didn't know about it saw it. I just didn't even know how it worked.
It's beautiful. Well, and you have, like I say, a ton of things on your YouTube channel, and every one of them are enlightening. And that's where we take the responsibility of coming over there and watching more often.
Yes, and there are a lot of PDFs at no charge on HelenRacz.com also. So if you're a reader or a video person or an audio person, all the Emissarian videos are in podcasts. And all that's on emissarians.com.
Perfect.
And don't forget, these are Helen's books, and you can get them all on Amazon. The Logical Law of Attraction. That sounds fantastic to me. Tell Me Where You're Stuck. That is like everyone gets stuck. We need that book for sure. And your journaling.
Yeah.
I just think that book is fascinating. I think I would get that just because I'd be fascinated about the conversations that are in that book.
Right. And we do learn when we write.
Yes.
Oh, gosh, Helen, this has been such a great interview. Thank you.
Oh,
We are
thank you, lady.
delighted. Oh, my gosh. And I just want to go over there and hug you. I can't wait for this thing to be over so we can meet you in person.
I think, Helen, you need to do this every week. I think you need to have an open conversation live streamed every single week and let people experience you, because the feeling that we're getting from being in your presence is amazing. It's beautiful and it's loving and it's helpful. It's kind. There's a lot of good energy here. And since we can't get together physically, this is the next best thing, don't you think?
Yes, I do. And
All
yet
right.
I do offer that 15 minutes. I haven't yet, although I play with it. Like, I'd love to do podcasts or live stream where people let me coach them, where others can benefit from their experiences.
That's a great
Kinda like
idea.
Ann Landers for 2020.
Yes, I love it.
And we need a new Ann Landers for this new generation and the new world that we live in. And there you are. Her name is Helen. Oh, thank you again, Helen, for just showing up and doing this beautiful interview. Do you have any closing remarks for us, Helen?
Yes, my blessing or wish for you would be that you are always capable of expanding your ability to receive in like measure to that which you give, and that you would find the teachers, the information, the tools that make your journey into the best experience of you easier, more fun, and joyous. And that would be my blessing.
Beautiful. And Marion, would you take us out, please?
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today to learn and experience more about Helen and her books, her videos, and her ability to connect with you and help you in your life's journey. We are all in this together, and it's more evident every single day. Thank you, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.
Bye.